Something is off with your hair. You know it. You just can't put your finger on what. You've tried the volumizing sprays. You've tried the mousse. You've tried drying it upside down. And yet by noon it's flat again. Closer to your scalp than it should be. Thinner looking than it felt when you were younger. That is not a hair problem. That is a method problem. And it has a name. Every morning this one approach to thin hair is quietly draining the volume, the lift, and the dimension your hair still has. And most women over 50 never find out what it is because nobody in the beauty space says it plainly. You have the bone structure. You have the instinct. You just need the right 4 steps, in the right order. And part 3 has one that a stylist told me most women find genuinely hard to believe works this fast. You've been patient with yourself. That stops today. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and youth-boosting fixes for mature women so you get simple, proven transformations that work immediately. Today we're covering the 4 steps to fix thin hair. And by part 2, you're going to want to pause the video and go straight to your bathroom. I mean it. Part 1 opens with the mistake that sets everything else back. Part 2 covers the one product swap that changes everything from the root. Part 3 has the step most women skip entirely. The one that a stylist I interviewed said is the hardest habit to build, but delivers the most visible result overnight. And part 4 ties it all together with the finish that locks your volume in for the whole day. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. I cover this every single week. Part 1. The root of the problem literally. There is a moment every woman with thin hair knows. You've just finished blow drying. You step back. You look. And somehow, despite everything you did, it still looks pressed down. Like the hair is lying against your head instead of lifting away from it. You've done everything right, or so you thought. Here is what nobody tells you about thin hair over 50. The problem almost never starts at the ends. It starts at the root. And the mistake most women are making, secretly, without knowing it, happens before the heat even touches their hair. It happens the moment they reach for their towel. This is the one a friend of mine heard and laughed, then immediately changed. Because she had been doing it for 40 years. When you rub your hair dry with a towel the way most of us were taught, you are physically roughening the hair shaft and pressing the root flat against the scalp. For thicker, younger hair, that barely matters. For fine, mature hair, it is the difference between volume and flatness before the day has even begun. The rough friction locks the root direction downward. And once it is down, no amount of mousse or spray lifts it back up properly. There's a reason this is the hardest mistake to spot on yourself. Because you've been doing it since childhood. The right method is a press and squeeze, not a rub. Take sections of hair between the towel and press gently. Squeeze. Release. Move on. It feels slower. It is slower, by about 40 seconds. But those 40 seconds are protecting the lift that everything else in your routine depends on. Yes, 40 seconds. Now here is the aging truth you need to hear plainly. Flat root direction is one of the fastest ways thin hair communicates age. When hair lies flat at the crown, it draws the eye downward, which flattens the forehead and reduces the visual height of your face. And that shift alone can read as 4 to 6 years older in photographs. The lift at the root is not cosmetic. It is structural. So what do you swap? If you are still rubbing your towel through your hair in the morning, swap it for a microfiber towel and the press squeeze method. The microfiber matters because its ultrafine weave absorbs water without the rough friction of a standard cotton towel. So the hair shaft stays smoother and the root stays pointed upward where you need it. If you are still using the thick bath towel you've had since forever, that towel is working against you every single morning. One maintenance tip. Keep a dedicated small microfiber hair towel on your bathroom hook. Not a general purpose one. One that is only used for your hair. It becomes part of the ritual, not an afterthought, and your root direction will reflect it within 3 days. That is step 1. And it is the foundation every other step builds on. Get this wrong and nothing else fully works. Get it right, and you have already changed the game before you pick up a single styling product. What is coming in part 2 is the product swap that builds directly on this. And it is one that most women over 50 are getting backwards every single time they shop. The difference in your hair by the afternoon will genuinely surprise you. Part 2. The product swap that works from the root up. Let me ask you something honestly. When you reach for your volumizing product in the morning, the spray, the mousse, the thickening cream, where do you put it? Most women will say, through the mid-lengths and ends. Some will say, all over. Almost none will say, at the root only on soaking wet hair, before anything else. And that is exactly the problem. Here is the real reason thin hair products stop working after a while. It is not the product. It is the timing and the placement. Volumizing products are designed to work at the point of maximum moisture absorption, meaning they need to bond to the hair while it is still saturated, not after it is half dry. When you apply mousse or spray to hair that is already towel dried and partially dried, the product sits on the surface. It does not penetrate. It weighs the hair down instead of lifting it. This is the one that changed everything for a woman I worked with. She had been buying expensive volumizing products for 3 years and throwing half of them away. One shift in timing turned her results around in 48 hours. The fix is this. Apply your volumizing product the moment the towel comes off. Hair still dripping damp. Section the hair and apply your product specifically to the root zone, from the scalp out to approximately 2 inches of growth. Not the ends. Not the mid-lengths. The root. That is where volume lives or dies, and that is where the product needs to bond. Write this one down. Now here is the product truth most women over 50 never hear from anyone. The formula matters differently after 50. Fine mature hair loses not just density, but also the natural oils that once coated each strand and gave it weight and movement. A product that contains protein is your friend here. Specifically, look for hydrolyzed wheat protein or rice protein in the ingredient list. These temporarily coat each strand, making it feel thicker and behave as if there is more of it. The effect is not permanent, which is fine, because it resets every wash. But the difference in daily volume is immediate and real. Avoid products with heavy silicones or waxes in the top 5 ingredients. They build up on fine mature hair rapidly, within 2 to 3 uses. And that invisible residue is what makes your hair feel perpetually limp by midday no matter how well you style it. The aging statement for this step is blunt. Silicone-heavy products on fine mature hair are one of the fastest ways to visually flatten your crown and add density exactly where you do not want it. At the ends, while stripping it from the root where it would actually serve you. Swap your current volumizing product for a lightweight protein-based root spray or mousse. Apply it to wet root zones only. Clip sections up as you go. Let it sit for 30 seconds before you touch the dryer. That 30-second wait is non-negotiable. It is the bonding window the product needs to actually grip the strand. One maintenance tip. Rotate products every 6 to 8 weeks. Fine hair adapts quickly to formulas, and what worked brilliantly in month 1 will plateau. Rotation keeps the protein bond fresh, and your volume consistent. There is one thing about the blow-dry technique in part 3 that nobody in the beauty space says out loud. And it is the step most women skip because it looks complicated. It is not. It takes 4 minutes. And it is the real reason some women's thin hair looks twice as full as yours, even when the hair itself is nearly identical. Part 3. The blow-dry step most women skip entirely. Nobody talks about this one. Not the YouTube tutorials. Not the salon stylists, because they assume you already know. Not the beauty magazines, because it is not exciting enough to sell product around. But a stylist I spoke to last spring, someone who has worked with mature hair for over 20 years, told me this is the single most impactful thing a woman with thin hair over 50 can do. And that in her entire career, she had never once had a client arrive already doing it correctly. What is it? The tension blow dry. And before you say that sounds technical, it is not. Here is the most important thing you need to understand about thin hair and heat. Your dryer is not just drying your hair. It is setting your hair's direction. Wherever your hair is pointing when it reaches its final dry temperature, that is where it will stay, at least until humidity hits. Most women blow dry pointing the nozzle down, or holding the hair loosely with no directional tension. And so the hair sets flat. Every single time. This is the one I wish someone had said to me plainly 10 years earlier. The tension blow dry works like this. You take a section at the crown, lift it straight up from the scalp using a round brush. Hold it under tension pointing directly toward the ceiling, and apply the dryer from underneath the section, aimed upward. You hold that tension until the section is fully dry. Then you release. The root has now been set upward. It will stay there. Work in sections. Crown first, then the sides, then the back. Use a round brush with flexible natural bristles. Nylon bristles generate more static on fine mature hair and reduce the smoothness you need. The whole technique takes 4 minutes once you have practiced it 3 times. The first time feels slow. By day 4 it is completely automatic. This is everything. The aging statement here is one of the most specific I can give you. Flat crown hair on a woman with fine, mature texture reduces visual facial height, which compresses the appearance of your forehead and brow line. And that compression alone reads as 5 to 7 years older in natural light. The tension blow dry reverses that in 4 minutes. Not metaphorically, physically. What you swap. If you are still blow drying with the nozzle pointing downward and no sectioning, swap it for the upward tension method described above. If you are still using a paddle brush on thin hair, swap it for a round brush with a medium barrel. That single change creates the curvature at the root that a paddle brush structurally cannot. One maintenance tip. Invest in a dryer with a concentrator nozzle if yours does not have one. The concentrator focuses the heat precisely on the section you are lifting, which means the root sets faster. The rest of your hair is not over-dried, and the overall volume holds longer through the day. I didn't expect part 4 to be the one women message me about most. But it always is. Because it is the step that locks everything you have just done in place. And without it, the volume you created is gone by lunchtime. Part 4. The finish that locks your volume all day. Most women stop at the blow dry. They think the work is done. And then by noon, or 2 o'clock, or whenever they catch their reflection in a shop window, the volume has gone. The crown is flat again. The effort of the morning has disappeared, and it feels like nothing held. Here is what nobody explains about thin, fine mature hair. Volume without a setting finish is temporary by design. The hair shaft on fine mature hair has a reduced natural elasticity compared to younger, denser hair. It does not grip a style the way it once did. Without a finishing step that seals the cuticle and locks the root direction in place, even the best blow-dry technique will relax and fall within a few hours, sometimes less depending on humidity. This is not about hairspray. This is something more precise. And most women over 50 are completely skipping it without knowing what they're losing. The finishing step is cool air. Specifically, a 10-second blast of your dryer on the cold setting directed at each section immediately after it comes off the round brush while it is still warm. Here is why that works. Heat opens the hair cuticle and sets the shape. Cold closes the cuticle around that shape and seals it. When you skip the cool blast, the cuticle stays slightly open after styling. The shape begins relaxing the moment the hair reaches room temperature. And by midday your volume is genuinely gone. The cold blast takes 10 seconds per section. It is the most underused step in every fine hair routine. There is one specific thing about humidity and thin hair that most women never find out. Because no one says it. Humidity is the enemy of fine hair's volume, and most women know this in a vague way. What they do not know is that the sealed cuticle from your cold blast is your single best defense against it. An open cuticle absorbs moisture from the air immediately, which swells the strand and pulls it downward. A sealed cuticle resists that absorption for hours. This is not a minor difference. In humid climates or on humid days, a sealed finish can extend your volume by 3 to 4 hours over an unsealed one. The second part of the finishing step, and the one that secretly doubles the visual impact of everything you did before it, is a light hold flexible spray applied to the roots only, from a distance of at least 30 centimeters. Hold the can far away. A close blast of hairspray at the root creates stiffness and visible residue. A distant mist creates invisible support that your fingers can still move through. The hair looks natural. It just doesn't move. The aging statement for this final step. Unsupported root volume on fine mature hair collapses toward the crown and temples. And that collapse creates the shadow pattern that visually compresses the upper third of your face, which is exactly where you want light and lift. The finishing seal is not optional if you want your morning's work to still be there when you are. What you swap. If you are still ending your styling routine the moment the blow dry is done, add the cold shot section by section, and the distant mist of light hold spray at the root. If you are still using a firm hold spray applied close to the root, Swap it for a flexible hold formula applied at arm's length. That single distance change eliminates the stiffness that ages fine hair more than almost anything else. One maintenance tip. Once a week, do your full 4-step routine, and then spend 60 seconds lightly backcombing the root zone at the crown with a fine-toothed comb before the finishing spray. This internal support structure is invisible once the top layer of hair falls over it, but it adds physical scaffolding that holds your volume through the longest days. The next mistake we are covering goes deeper into how these 4 steps connect to the way your overall style ages you. And there is one accessory detail in that video that I genuinely did not expect to have such an immediate visual impact. But it does. Every single time. You just learned the 4 steps that most women with thin hair spend years searching for. The towel method, the product timing, the tension blow dry, and the cold seal finish. All in one sitting. Boom! Your hair was never the problem. Your routine was. And now that changes. Tell me in the comments. Which of these 4 steps were you skipping without knowing it? I want to know which one surprised you most. Next time, we are getting into the one clothing color mistake that quietly adds years to your face every time you get dressed. And it is not the color you would guess. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I will see you in the next one.